Hello, my friends. Thanks for tuning in today. So, have you noticed how the holiday makeup landscape has really changed? Some major brands that are usually putting out big, impressive looking holiday themed palettes are just not doing that this year. Have there been some palettes here and there? Yes. Some sets. There have been some things come out, but not nearly what we're used to. And I was one of the people who really liked that kind of thing. I mean, I'm guessing the reasoning here is that sales had not been good on some of the holiday palettes, and maybe people are kind of fed up that sometimes it seems like a different type of quality goes into those holiday things. But I've seen frequently in my comments sections people saying, doesn't Too Faced have some holiday stuff? Don't they have a big palette? Well, this is what Too Faced has in terms of palettes this year. This is it. They have some little duos of lip glosses and cheek colors and different things, but like as far as palettes go, the holiday palette, this is what it's come to for Too Faced this year. And I didn't even buy these. Like, I've seen them online, but I wasn't compelled to take the leap. They sent these to me recently. We're going to try these. I've used them once. I'm going to use them again for you today in this video. They look like little books, which is kind of cute. This is the Fairytale Crush blush and highlighter palette. They actually kind of click shut, but that's what's happening in there. And then there's a Life's a Fairytale eyeshadow palette. Like, this is Too Faced holiday eyeshadow palette. Just kind of surprising to me. You know, times have changed. And yeah, I guess maybe people's overall interest in eyeshadow has changed too. This is different, but I thought you might be interested to see how these perform. I've already got my face halfway done, so I'll let you know what I'm wearing. My hair is kind of weird. Like, I just threw it up, but then I've got all this poofiness. I used my Wet n Wild Clingy primer today, and then I'm like, what Too Faced stuff do I own? I do have the Born This Way foundation. This is in the shade Light Beige, so I've got that on all over. It's kind of a newly reformulated take on Born This Way. Undetectable medium to full coverage foundation. I did find it to be quite thin and like runny basically, but easy to blend out on my skin, and I think is giving me a very strong medium coverage look. This is my Born This Way Ethereal Light Concealer, and I had one of these and then somehow I lost it. And in the meantime, Too Faced had sent me another one. This is the shade Oatmeal. So it's a really nice brightening concealer, not the fullest coverage, but that's a really good shade up on my under eye area. So I've got that on, and I set it with Infallible Blurfection in Pink Light, and also all over the rest of my face I've got the Infallible foundation in a powder. That's in True Beige. And then I do have a Too Faced bronzer. This is the Natural Chocolate Cocoa Infused Healthy Glow Bronzer in Caramel Cocoa. So it does have a little bit of a satin finish, and I've got that all over my normal contour zones. Brows today are the Benefit Precisely My Brow Pencil and the Morphe Micromanager Gripping Brow Gel. What I want to come away from in this video is pretty much deciding that, okay, Too Faced put out a lot less for the holiday season in terms of palettes. Did they pack just a boatload of quality into these things? Did they really just go quality over quantity, you know, and do something great here? Let's talk about it. So we've got this little book, and it does have kind of a snap closure. It's not magnetic. Maybe you can tell that. We do have a mirror inside, and then we got 4 different cheek products here. This is Candy Clouds. I know that's a shade of their powder blush, but they put it into a cream blush formula. So there's that. There's the Super Candy Clouds, which is kind of a stepped up pink. I know that shade exists in a single. I was not familiar with the Head in the Clouds color, and then there's this Happily Ever After highlighter shade here. And by the way, the shade on my nails now, I had switched last week to a deeper LA Colors shade, and it wasn't one of the gel ones. It was called like Color Craze. I was looking for a nice rich red in at Walmart, and it was called Hot Blooded is the shade. And actually, like, I have been going through so many boxes, so much stuff. I decorated my whole house for Christmas except this room, interior-wise, over the weekend. And I meant to get this room done yesterday, but I just couldn't fit it in. I was making a potato soup in the crock pot that took me forever. But I thought I made it out pretty good with just a couple chips. Anyway, we've got Candy Clouds right here, and it's a creamy texture blush. It looks kind of like a popcorn ceiling when you look at it. I don't know if the camera's honing in on that texture that it has, but if you think popcorn ceiling, that's what it is. There's a smell in here, like a mix of sweet and floral, kind of fresh. The creamy texture here, it almost feels like when you pick it up on your finger, maybe it wants to be a bit fluffy, but ultimately if you're using a brush application, you're not gonna really encounter that a whole lot. So I'm gonna go into that cream one first, dip in with my Sephora 56, or you could use a Real Techniques Expert face brush. And I'm gonna dab this in on my cheeks and see what kind of color we get. Okay, I'm definitely seeing the color. This shade makes me think bright, warm pink, and meanwhile we do have a bright cool pink, very intense one down there in the powders. But I feel like it's blending well. It's not leaving me with a real tacky finish on top of my skin. Maybe the question is, why wasn't I interested in buying this with my own money when I was going through and like picking out the things that I was most excited for the holidays? Like, I don't know. I did buy a blush quad last holiday season from Too Faced, and then I think I remember coming to the conclusion that I owned most of the shades already and it just wasn't a good deal, and I don't know, I felt a little burned by it. But okay, we've got that on. That's the cream blush. I've got it on pretty softly because I do intend to layer some of these other shades over top, but that's in there. This is looking kind of like a Benefit Dallas vibe, this Head in the Clouds shade. I want to see, is that a shade people can get all the time? It says 2 fan favorite Cloud Crush blush shades. So apparently this is a fan favorite shade. I just hadn't heard of it, the Head in the Clouds. I really do like the smell of it. You sort of got to look for it. There's a smell definitely in the eyeshadow palette too. I'm sorry you won't get the purest take on this blush as I'm layering it with the cream, but I'm just going to put a little bit of this earthy one back in here. Back in this zone. I mean, somehow it even layered up some intensity on top of that cream. It's just very muted, and I think it's going to give at best like a dusty, soft dusty rose color. It's adding a little rose on top of my cream blush there. And then we've got Super Candy Clouds, which I do own that one in a single, and I know this one's really good, really vibrant. If you're a pink cheek lover, this is going to be for you, and the fact that you can layer it up with a cream is going to intensify it even more. You know what I mean? Putting that cream down first. I don't know, I'm just kind of disappointed because I personally really like the fact that Too Faced will put out like a fall palette, and then there'll be something for the holidays that I'm usually really into trying. And one thing they do have is a duo of these, the Cloud Crush Whipped Lip and Cheek. I really like this formula. I think these are great little products. They turn out to be very long wearing on the lips, and there's a nice variety of shades. Pretty easy to work with on the cheeks as well. I like the texture. I just really like that product. So they are selling a duo of those if you're into that. But okay, our cheeks are all pinked up right now. I think I'm starting to be able to tell that the concealer really isn't all the coverage I might have hoped for. This highlighter though, guys, I don't want glitter flakes. Things were honestly going pretty well for this palette, but you are going to see those little particles of sparkle on your skin once this is all blended in. Even a really good blend. And you're gonna see what looks kind of like fairy dust, you know, on your cheeks. So I'm gonna apply it. Get some, dab it across. So this is the kind of thing from a distance you're just thinking, okay, that looks like any standard highlight. It's given that little highlighter pop. I'm removing some excess from my brush. But what we have here, it's completely composed of these little like fairy sparkle flakes. Keep people at a distance, probably looks fine. Probably will continue to look fine on this video. But if you get up close, you can totally see just it's made up of little microfine glitter flakes. And it's sad, I wish it wasn't quite that formula because I like how there's kind of like a goldeny shift. It looks really pretty going over the blushes. I wish they made it a little softer. Oh, it says, in case you're wondering on the scent, they say smells like a tropical beach and crisp apples. I don't know that I would have specifically picked out either one of those scents, but maybe it is the fusion of those. That's kind of odd. I would say I'm pleased with 75% of what's in here because I think it's cool that they took a popular blush shade, put it in a cream formula, packaged it thoughtfully. That's cool with me. And I also like that people wanting to kind of stay with the brand and be able to go beyond the holidays and reference and use shades. Like, I mean, maybe I'm talking from a person who creates mindset here, but I like that there's a couple of colors in here that will stay relevant beyond the holidays. I think that was a good move. I don't love the highlighter. I could make the highlighter work though. They pretty much had me until that point. It's a nice enough palette. It's not leaving me thinking, man, I wish I would have jumped on this earlier in the season so I could tell people about it. It's not giving me that feeling. It's not up there in the upper levels of things I've tried and reviewed for the holiday season so far. You know what I mean? It's one of those okay things. And also, while that cream blush in there is nice and it's a familiar shade to us, cream blushes are everywhere. That's not a hard to get item. So I'm giving this maybe like a B minus. But you know what? You know yourself. You know if you've been looking for a couple of those shades, if you'd like to own a couple of the Cloud Crush blushes from the regular line and you like the idea of a cream and you're not bothered by that highlight, maybe this is something you're gonna like. Now next up, I'm gonna put on some eye primer and we're gonna talk about this little mini eyeshadow palette. It's called the Life's a Fairytale mini eye palette. You remember when they put out like a couple of smaller sizes of their like Born This Way nude eyeshadow palette? It looks like it's that kind of a shape and size. But I'm just baffled, like this is it. This is it for eyeshadow. They put out one small thing and they're calling it a day. Maybe I'm in the minority when I say I'd like to have seen more happen with them, but the smell on this, oh, I'm really getting a fruity smell out of it, and you like smell it the entire time the palette is open. I feel like it's even stronger actually than the blush palette. It smells like an enchanted flower garden. I knew it wasn't just any flower garden, it was enchanted. They say it's 6 new and exclusive high pigment shades. We do have a mix of matte and shimmer in here, and we do have the little mirror. It's again closing with a snap like the other one does. You can see the 3 mattes. It is working into kind of a plummy mauve type of thing. This is a deep plum. We've got this kind of purpley mauve. We do have a caramely shade over here. So those make up our 3 mattes. Our shimmers, we have this iridescent shifting pinky blue type of shade down here. Wow, that shade shows up a lot brighter than I expected. That's looking like rose gold. And then right over here, more of a like silvery taupe, I would say. And oh my gosh, I didn't realize there was a film over this mirror. We're gonna peel it together, friends. So while it does open up like a little storybook, you're probably going to see me holding it this way because that's, for some reason, it makes more sense to me to have the mirror there as I look down into it. But here's where I'm starting. I'm going to use some of this caramely color and get that going in my crease. Again, my Milani eyeshadow primer is already on, and we're just gonna see if we love the look. Seeing as it's a smaller palette, we're gonna get to use a lot of the shades, I think. But this is priced at $29, and let's think about that. It's $29, and let's think of the eyeshadow experiences we have had recently on this channel. LA Colors, $125, and it worked well. And what we know about a great Catrice $6 palette. Is this going to take us over the top into a new level? Here's this shade. This worked fine, I think. Just kind of got some crease established there. I want to go right into this one and see what kind of color intensity do you have? Okay, that's actually pretty purpley. Soft purple. I'm layering it up, and I'm going to take this up and out and really just let that color emerge, making it sort of grow up toward the brow. I like that shade. That's kind of unique too. So often a light purple is just gonna be lilac, and this is definitely more intense than lilac. And that smell is very nice. I made that take up some room there. I kind of worked some excess off of my brush, and now I'm using this more to just blend the edge. Make sure it's nice and soft, okay? I would say these mattes are doing quite well. Now we're gonna go into the plum. I'm using my Morphe M303 brush and just wiggling it in there just a little bit. I'm applying this color a little more fully than I did the last time I used this palette. First time I used it, I came away just thinking, yeah, it's okay. Now I'm gonna try to just make a little bit more of the color. Flipping my brush, you know, I'm getting that color worked into the crease. As you can see, it's going to be a look that's really rooted in purples. Are you willing to bust out of your nude and neutral color scheme to make this palette worthwhile for you? Or do you know somebody who just really loves this take? Because with the mattes in this palette being the way they are, it's going to come back to this kind of a tone. Unless you're just sweeping one shimmer across the lid, which I guess is a possibility. Going back to my crease brush, and now I'm going to blend. I'm kind of letting that plum come up and really mix with the other purple shade just as much as it wants to. Personally, I'm really liking what's going on here. I used a heavier hand with the plum than I did the other day, and I'm liking the way that's coming together. And I'm thinking, let's go more on the lid with some of this matte, because it is such a pretty shade. I'd like it to be seen in its truest form, you know? And then maybe we could do like a little shimmer spotlight. It's pretty. It's just, for the colors, it feels very novelty, you know what I mean? Because again, it's a small palette. This is the kind of look you're gonna get with it. It's gonna be plummy, purpley, and then with some sparkly pops. I'm taking the darker shade, before I get into my shimmer, I'm taking a darker shade with my Profusion small pointed brush, because I would like that to look just a little more complete out here in the outer corner. And I want you to see how deep it can go. Had to get up and empty my memory card there, but just trying to add to that. That looks pretty. What would have been cool is to see this color scheme working into an all-in-all little bit larger palette, because then you'd feel like you had some more options. I feel like there's a small core of us that would frequently want the plummy eye. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. They're blending beautifully together. I've always loved Too Faced mattes, and these are working well. Okay, we're matte all over. We could stop here with the look, but I want you to see some of the shimmer come to play. Should we take this one? This one's the most like icy looking, and then like I said, touch of taupe, more silvery, and then the rose gold. Let's take the icy one and kind of pop it on the center of the lid. And what I'm hoping to see is like a really pretty gleam that doesn't look too chunky and too like just glitter, you know? I would say it's looking actually pretty soft. Like it's giving sort of a bluish veil actually over the area where I'm placing it. Okay, see what we've got there? I don't think it would necessarily look that bluish if you weren't topping off the purple. I think it kind of depends. I think that could look more pinky perhaps, but I actually think that's a pretty cool look. I might take a little plum on the lower lash line. Takeaway on this might be I really like the look. I like it better than the first time I used it because I just went harder with the purple all around. And I think probably your top performing shades are the mattes here, so like really use them and you'll like the result. But how often am I gonna reach for it to just have this look day in, day out? Maybe they could have piggybacked off of an already super popular palette that they have with the Born This Way, what's it called, Natural Nudes, their elongated palette. Maybe you put something out that's in that Natural Nudes family, but just a few different little color tone swaps, you know? I just spilled some coffee, so I'm gonna clean that up and then I'm gonna do my mascara. Eye is finished. The only thing added to the eye look is the Too Faced Ribbon Wrapped Mascara, which if you've been keeping up with my videos, I have really been enjoying this one. This is a really good lengthening tubing mascara. It's probably been the tubing mascara in my life that has been the most lengthening, okay? The most capability of really extending out. My main place where I'm interested in having a tubing mascara is the lower lash line, and I don't need big lashes there. So that's why e.l.f. Lash Extender usually, well, that'll cut it, you know, like that'll do the work in that area. And I can get some good length from other various mascaras. So I'm not saying it has to be this, but this is probably one of Too Faced better products right now, all in all. I think it's very good. We're gonna do the lip. I don't have any of like the holiday lip combos, but I'm just gonna put something together that involves a little Too Faced maybe. First off, I'm gonna give my lips kind of a soft base. I'm gonna try, it's touchy when you got purple on the eyes, like what do you want to do to coordinate? But I'm gonna take my Catrice lip liner here. This is in the shade Cheers to Life. It's kind of a mauve shade. I just don't want anything getting like too warm on the lips to clash with the eyes. But I'm gonna do this, and then I've got one of these Too Faced Kissing Juicy tints, and I thought I'd layer that on top. But we can check back here on Too Faced website. They've got a Pillow Balm Dream Duo. That's selling for $36. Those must be full sizes. I like the Pillow Balms. They're extremely comfortable. It looks like a plummy shade and a pink, maybe. I'd be interested in that. Extremely comfortable, cushiony glosses. They have like a mini blush and gloss duo, and they've got two of their Kissing Jelly glosses, which I do like those for layering too. They're more sheer. They've got a single of a Kissing Jelly. They've got the Whipped Lip and Cheek duos. Let's see what shades they are. Two full sizes. You're getting Bed of Roses and Super Candy Clouds. That's what I'm talking about there. Those Whipped Lip and Cheeks, I think they're very versatile. Super Candy Clouds I don't find to be the most versatile because that's not a shade I'm gonna maybe multitask as much with on the lips, but Bed of Roses is a real good one for that. In case you're curious, a couple other shades I like are Headliner, that might be one of my faves, and Milk and Cookies appears very nude, but it's pretty on lips and cheeks too. And they've got a couple really pretty deep shades. An outstanding red here too. That's a good line of products. Let's throw this balm on top. This is the one called Bubblegum. It does smell a little bubblegummy. It's gonna give us a little pink glaze. Feels super thin. I haven't played with these a whole lot, but you are getting a substantial amount of color with one of these. But like I was saying, with these palettes, it's more about like, do you want a purpley eye? Like, is that something you're after? This executed well. Using it like the way I did this look today, I would actually probably put it a little bit above the blush palette. What grade did I give this one? Like a B-? I might give this one an A- because I like the quality, but I think it would have been even better if they expanded and gave a few more options and made it just at least a little bit bigger. But this little palette, it's kind of coming back to specifics like, do you want to get your hands on a couple of those Cloud Crush blushes? Do you think you'll really use a highlighter that's got a little bit of glimmer and sparkle in it? Only you can answer those questions. I'm happy to have tried these. I'm thankful to have received them, but I just don't think they're ranking among some of my holiday favorites this year. Okay, so I just wanted to pass that along to you because I have gotten some questions about Too Faced and just generally like, what's Too Faced doing? This is what they're doing. These are their 2 holiday palettes this year. And yeah, wearing them both today. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for your interest. And please let me know how you feel about these. If you've tried either one, like what's your take? Do you feel like it's something that you're really gonna, use beyond the holidays? Is it gonna become a must-have, constant use type of thing for you? Let's talk about that, and I will see you all again very soon. I love you. Bye.